Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to yet another edition, special edition here of the Bassette Brothers. We are going to talk about, this of course is part 4 of our 7-part series. Here we're going to talk about theme number 3, which is cybersecurity. Now this one is a little more up my alley than the previous ones, simply because this is something I've at least studied a little bit. It's something that at least has something to do with my background in the armed forces. Mm-hmm. And we're obviously a lot of this talk is going to be about at the state level, but of course we're going to try to bring in all factors, whether it be the state level, the military factors, the civil sector, the private sector, and of course we're going to talk about all of them. But first we need to define what cybersecurity is, or as it's going to be defined for this cybersecurity conference. Ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. The rapid development of ICT and society's increasing dependence on it creates new security challenges. These challenges call for cooperation from all stakeholders to make cyberspace secure and reliable. Lack of awareness on cybersecurity issues may be one of the most difficult problems to resolve. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cyberspace is becoming more vulnerable due to the increasing level of sophistication of cyber attacks and threats. Although there is no silver bullet for cybersecurity, identifying gaps in the national and international responses in response to an important first step. Sharing national, regional, and global best practices and taking collective actions can greatly contribute to the improvement of global cybersecurity. Now let's talk about some of the objectives that are hoping to get done.
Take words and put them into sentences correctly.
Exactly.
Okay.
To evaluate the current trend of cyber threats, identify major challenges and problems, and find practical measures for prevention and response. 2. To improve practical cross-border cooperation among all relevant stakeholders, including the private sector, and to prioritize cybersecurity domestically and internationally with national and regional strategies, legislation, organizational institutes, and technical expertise such as CERT or CSIRT. Okay, so
CSIRT, that's what it means to... Oh, sorry.
Possibly. Now, of course, a lot of concepts there, a lot of big, heady concepts. But as we get into the questions, we'll break some of these down, make them a little easier. Yeah. So go to number 1. What are some of the serious security challenges that confront cyberspace? How will these evolve as new technologies and business models reach cyberspace? Now, we talked before about the ideas of identities and money as being ones and zeros at this point. Obviously, those can be abused for a plethora of things. We'll talk about specifically the crime element later on. I believe it's type number 5, which is cybercrime. Yeah. We're going to talk more about the idea of cybersecurity. I'm going to look at it a little higher level. We'll look at kind of the national level. We'll do a little more individual level once we get into cybercrime. But something very simple like getting hold of people's personal information and using that against them. We saw a lot of this in the recent election here in South Korea. There's a lot of websites that were posting things that were very, not to get too much into politics, but were very pro a certain party who was more favorable towards the North Korean regime, and were very anti the party that was more hostile towards the North Korean regime. And so this is a very real and applicable idea of security, where other nations are trying to affect elections. Yeah. Other nations are trying to affect policy. Now, we talked before about how the internet allows people to have a bigger voice in the policymaking process. But if that voice happens to be from a state enemy, happens to be from a hostile party that has their own goals and intentions, that is a security threat. That's a huge security risk. And awareness also, it talked, of course, a lot about awareness. I think social media sites have kind of dumbed people's awareness to exactly what information they're putting up there and when. If you remember back to the Gaza, the Gaza incident that happened back, I want to say this is 2006. This is when social media was first starting to become a thing. A private there in the Israeli army posted on his Facebook, "Oh, we're going to go do this now," and they were ambushed. So yeah, that wasn't very smart. Just assume that people that want to do you harm, and people that don't like you, are looking at your information and are reading what you're posting there, because they probably are.
That's why you always put a little footnote at the very bottom of each comment. Screw you guys.
Alrighty.
So I do that or anything.
So obviously that is a big issue too, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse as the benefits of the internet get better. So as an example, we were talking before. Right now, only 78% of citizens partook in the last election. A lot of the people who didn't probably didn't because they weren't able to. They couldn't get to the polls. They were doing something, or they didn't have enough interest that propelled them to want to go and do it. Now imagine if you could vote from your cell phone. Identification technology is getting a lot better. They're coming out with cell phones now that can read your retina and read your thumbprint to make sure it's actually you when you pick up the phone. So the idea of cyber voting, of being able to vote from a distance, is a very real concept. But once that happens, it's now all on the internet. And if someone happens to break into that, now you have third parties dictating presidential elections, which is a horrible thing that could come from it. Obviously, it's it's not a guarantee. Obviously, people much smarter than myself are working on ways to secure it, and make sure that can't happen. But it is a possibility.
Yeah, I really don't see the point of making it like that. Like, I understand that you need to get more people involved. I mean, honestly, obviously coming from the States, where you know how many people just blow off the elections. Like, you can't do that. And so I think instead of making it easier for the lazy people, you should make them want to go and vote.
Yeah, but people try to make people want to go and vote for a long time.
Yeah,
even rappers are getting involved, and
they're getting people all over the place.
P. Diddy.
Yeah. Well, like when we went to see
Vote or Die.
went to see Casting Crowns in concert. Even they made a comment like that.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything other than just make sure you go and vote. Seriously. Just vote.
And people still aren't going to vote. But but that is the trend that we're going towards.
Yes.
In order to increase participation, you need to make it easier. I
personally don't think that's going to help. Because, well, A, like I said, you're just encouraging laziness, and B, well, I know some people aren't lazy, but the majority of the people who don't vote are just people who don't want to. So anyways, and, B, just the risk, and anything and everything can be hacked. It may take time, like lots of it. Lots of intelligence, but still, I just don't.
It's making systems vulnerable.
Yeah, even more so, because obviously the system as it is vulnerable. No matter what system you have is going to be vulnerable unless you somehow are able to convince Superman to fly by and ask everyone personally.
Well, come on. I agree. I think there's a lot of things that are going digital that I would prefer not to be digital, but I obviously don't have much of a choice in this matter.
Yeah, really.
These are the trends. These are where things are going. So all I can really do is talk about possible dangers. We can come up with possible solutions. And of course, business models. We talked about that before. If your business model relies on everyone has their information stored at Amazon at this point. Amazon could tank the world's economy if they wanted to, using people's information incorrectly. And again, things are only going to expand from here. A lot of businesses, a lot of business models are moving towards the internet, and there's a huge possibility of not just individuals, but of organizations, of third parties, of the nation-state level, of militaries trying to get a hold of information and use it. How can we identify best practices at national or regional levels and apply them to other contexts, regions, or sectors? How can we narrow the cybersecurity gap among states or regions, or within a country between social groups? How can awareness of cybersecurity be enhanced? And this is a big one. There's always going to be that kind of divide to a degree, whether it's just the generational gap or what have you. Talking to my mom. Talking to my mom today, she gets a call from someone claiming to be Microsoft, and it was like, "Oh, you have McAfee internet virus software installed, don't you? Oh, that's only compatible with Vista. That's not compatible with Windows 7. So let me take control of your computer so I can delete that for you. And here, pay us $350. I'll give you all these nice things that make your computer go faster. Oh, you don't want to pay? Okay, well, Microsoft is now shutting down your computer. Yeah, locked her out of her computer. Well, she shouldn't have let him on in the first place.
It's mom. She has this weird thing about she thinks humanity's good or something.
Who knows? Okay, this is an awareness issue. You need to be spreading the word about this. These people are lying to you. These people are trying to take your money.
Oh yeah, like you have the things randomly pop up on your computer saying, hey, virus is attacking you. Spend $10 and you get the antivirus thing. And the thing is, they don't really. A lot of people, some of them aren't that good to hack. So they're just getting $10 from you. That's practically all they're getting. But they do it to everyone. So every person who decides to say yes, they're making thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Off of scamming people. So of course awareness needs to be raised to this issue, and it's hard to say exactly where to target. I think awareness can come from many different avenues. A great example is recently my wife got a phone call of someone who was trying to do voice phishing. And she realized what was going on because she had watched an episode of Gag Concert, and she saw this happen there on the TV show. And now we laugh. Of course, Gag Concert is a comedy. But this was a very interesting avenue that allowed her insight and knowledge that she didn't have before. This was raising awareness through comedy. And of course, that wasn't their intent, but it was the byproduct. And I think we have to be clever like that. We have to find ways of reaching people and getting the information out there. And there's only so much the government can do.
Yeah.
They can try to increase awareness. Again, they can spend as much money as they want. They're not going to be able to educate absolutely everybody. But again, you need to start. You need to start them when they're young. This should totally be part of school curriculum. All the BS they're teaching in schools, maybe not South Korea, math, science, math. But you just take one class a year and be like, okay, here's some internet stuff. Here's all this works. I know you guys know how to use the internet. I know you guys know your tablets. Here's some risks. Here's some things you need to look out for. Here's things you need to avoid. And just bake it into school curriculum.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially since like a lot of the younger kids, if junior high, we'll go with that age, just throwing that out there. Like I know a lot of them play online games and such. And there's
Kim So-gyun, 3 years old. How much time does he spend on that phone? Playing Grand Theft Auto.
That's super funny watching a 3-year-old play that. And by funny, I mean depressing. I'm not allowed to play that.
Go play some Angry Birds, Kim So-gyun, if you're watching this in the future.
I'm almost 19. And my mom still won't let me play that game. Anyways.
Yeah. It's always going to be that generational gap. I think your best bet is try to raise awareness, but make sure to start them young, get this information out there now, and your best hope is make sure the next generation comes into this information technology already knowing this stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of my 2 cents.
Just let them understand enough not to click on something they don't know about. If you look, go to YouTube, whatever. You do that all the time. You're watching a video. Don't click on any of the ads on the side. Stuff like that.
And for government officials and for members of the armed services, again, this should be baked into their training. I remember as an NCO, I had to train on this. I don't know if regular Joes had to. As an NCO, I had to train on this. I had to know about this stuff. I had to make sure I was doing all these checks every time I was using the military computer. Bake that in. Bake that into basic training. I mean, heck.
Get rid of some of that horrible running and push-up crap. And maybe I'll join.
I think you need to get rid of the gas chamber. I thought that was the one you didn't like.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was like, what, 10 when you showed that to me? I was like, oh my god, I don't want to go in the army. I don't want to be gassed.
Yeah. Everyone who went to base training knows what I'm talking about. All right. So let's moving on from that one. Is the collaborative international architecture fit for the purpose? It's written weirdly. Proof.
Is my English good now?
Yes. Megan? Okay.
Dr. Wiley.
So, the current international structure for cooperation, is it a fit for what they're trying to accomplish? Now, we're going to talk a lot more about this here in number 4, which is international security. We'll talk more about some of the international concerns and levels. Personally, right now, I would say no. I would say a lot of, when it comes to like internet security and cybersecurity, I think a lot of it is being handled by, let's say, the military or certain branches of the government, and their whole purpose is we don't want the guy on our left and right to necessarily know what we're doing because we don't want it to be able to be countered. Yeah. I think where you're most likely to get something that can be a better effort internationally, you're probably looking towards NGOs, non-government organizations, probably some not-for-profit organizations. They'd be a little less concerned about national security, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you should be giving them national security secrets by any means. Heck no. But if you want to think of an organization that, say, if they were trying to talk about cybersecurity issues in South Korea and trying to give it to, say, a Japanese or Chinese audience, I think an NGO would be a better speaker for that than, say, an official from the South Korean government or from the Korean military. I don't think they would be as open to those kind of sources. So I think that would probably be a better avenue for that. And no, I don't think anyone has a structure well designed for this at the moment. It's too new of an issue. There's still too many questions, too many debates going on. No one. A great article written by my thesis advisor, Professor Kim Sung-han, was talking about the idea of like a WMD, women of mass destruction, but happening from like an internet, from the idea of cybersecurity. Of course, we'll talk a lot more about this later, but there isn't any international organization that's prepared for something like that. None. Not even for a government that's prepared for it domestically, let alone internationally. So, no, I don't think any organization is currently fit for it, and I don't think the level of cooperation that's happening right now is sufficient. That's all I have to say about that.
Boom.
And then,
that's all I got to say about that.
What are the roles of the various stakeholders and effective approaches to enhance cybersecurity at domestic, regional, and international levels? Gosh. Like I said, the military is going to do its thing. Let it do its thing. Of course, they're going to be they're working about defense and offense. I think offense is just as important as defense when it comes to cybersecurity. The military is going to be doing its thing. The private sector, of course, will be doing its thing. There is money in cybersecurity, both defensively and offensively, but most specifically defensively. There are private businesses that are making a lot of money off this. Businesses. Use them to raise awareness. Heck. I'm sure McAfee would love it if you helped them back a nationwide campaign talking about the importance of cybersecurity, because they're the ones making money when people start thinking about cybersecurity and taking better approaches. What I mean by this is the government's going to spend money that they don't have. Private industries not only have some money that can be used to raise awareness, but they have a lot to gain from raising awareness. Yeah. So I'm thinking a little cooperation here between the public and private sector is needed. That's what I'm feeling about that. Now, for the individual, okay, of course, the stakeholder, of course, is the policymaker level. Again, there's too many spinning plates there for me to say exactly. There's too much abuse that can happen in this sector. But as a responsible policymaker, what you need to be doing when it comes to cybersecurity is making sure that the stakeholders are doing what they're supposed to. Make sure private businesses get involved, private sector is getting involved. Make sure the public sector isn't overspending or spending it incorrectly. Make sure that the military is doing the right thing. I mean, the U.S., we make our own cybersecurity divisions for the military in 2010. North Korea's had them for a decade now. You got to be freaking kidding me! Come on, spend too much time working on frivolous stuff instead of a little more important things. I know they got a war going on. Please take care of that. But there's a lot of stupid stuff that we're spending money on and time on when we could have been working on this. So again, as a policymaker, just make sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Just kind of be the watchdog, as it were. And for the individual, not only raise awareness for yourself, educate yourself. Holy crap! Just educate yourself. There's some great sites up there now. That's another thing that policymakers can do is maybe direct people towards these websites. I haven't seen a single ad for this conference. I haven't seen a single, hey, watch out for these kind of cyber threats and make sure you're educated. Ads on the subway or on the buses ever.
Well, yeah, because they're too busy showing off all the new handheld games on your phone. Yeah. Slider Girl, woo! I don't know what the point of this game is.
Indeed. So you can be trying to raise some awareness that way. Just tell people where they can find information. You don't have to put up a whole bulletin board saying everything they need to know. Just direct them where they can go, where they can find information, and just kind of get the word spread out there. And as individuals, educate yourself, and try to educate others. That's the whole purpose of this, is just to get people talking. As long as you're talking about it, you're going to be researching it, you're going to be thinking about it, and you're going to want to protect yourself more. Definitely. So that's all I have for this. And it talks more about international level. We're going to go in that specifically in our next video. I don't want to use up all of our good international stuff here, because that's my particular academic background, of course, is talking about these kind of issues on international level. So before we go, do you have any closing comments?
Nope.
None whatsoever.
This is over my head.
This is over your head?
Over my head. But all of this, I've been able to. I understand a good bit of. Well, I should say a good bit. If you grab each piece and throw it together, I guess it's a good bit. But just pieces here and there. All of the videos we've done like this, and I don't really have much to add to it because I don't.
Well, that's where we need to educate you. We got all these great resources.
Educated now.
Exactly.
I knew a handful of these things, and like I said, I know the basics. But which is actually more than the average person.
Or more than the average bear. Hey, Bobo.
Hey, Bobo.
Alrighty. Well, all I have more to add, of course, is we got plenty more coming here. Hopefully, I can place some links below talking about some great resources for finding out this kind of stuff. Spread the word. Get people talking about this. Of course, by the time you've seen this, the youth conference has already been over. Hopefully, I've been able to post up some information about what happened down there. But the actual conference itself has not taken place yet. Of course, take place October 16th, 17th, 18th at the COEX Mall. So please, of course, visit the website. That's soulcyber2013.kr, and please educate yourself, and please spread the word around, and please keep the debate going. Make your own videos, make your own comments, write a paper. Just keep the word going around, and we'll see you guys next time. Stay safe.